Okay, and now we are live. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We are so excited for this live tonight. We have so many awesome panelists, I guess we'll call it one. I feel like with 6, it's definitely a panel
Oh,
at this
yes.
point. But we are so excited to be here to talk about the 12 Days of Freedom, which Holding Out Help is putting on to raise awareness and also as a fundraiser for their awesome organization. You guys all know that we love Holding Out Help. We love everything that they do and stand for. And so we're so grateful to get to be a part of this. Tanya, before we get started, do you want to kind of explain to everyone a little bit of what the 12 Days of Freedom is and what you guys are trying to accomplish with this?
Yeah, 12 Days of Freedom are simply just almost a filler for, the annual funds that we raise each year. And a lot of the grants have gone down to like a third. And so over the next 12 days, you're going to hear client stories. You're going to hear about volunteers or different community partners. And we hope that spurs you on really to want to get involved. And I think tonight's really the kickoff. And that tonight we just want people to hear so we can raise awareness really for what's happening in our backyard in the state of Utah, also Arizona, and it's starting to spread out to the United States. So pretty soon it's going to be everybody's issue. And so, yeah, we're just trying to bring awareness and just raise a little funds for people that are in need. We've just grown dramatically lately, and we just can't keep up with the number of people who are fleeing polygamy. So it's a good situation to have.
Yeah, we love, just so people realize the amount of resources that you're able to give people that are leaving polygamous groups. I mean, Emily is from, I believe, the AUB, right, Emily? We got Luann from the Kingston group. We got Sam over here from the FLDS, Roger Houle, who is an amazing attorney who helps Holding Out Help, right? And Sam Brower, who's an investigator and has helped. Did I give that right for everybody?
Except Roger, he doesn't help me. He helps our clients that we refer over to him. That's it.
Yes.
There we go. Almost got it. But the amazing resources that are offered. So, Tanya, when somebody comes to Holding Out Help and comes to your organization, what things are you able to offer them with these funds?
Yeah, we offer the first things, the basic necessities of food, clothing, shelter, and safety, right? They need to know that all the basics are met so they can come up and breathe and we can start focusing on their future. So from that point, we work on mental health care, job skills, education, life skills. We do social groups, really just about any services that you can imagine, full wraparound services at our agency.
Awesome.
It's amazing. And we hear from so many people that have benefited from all of these services. So we always talk about Holding Out Help, but I want to say personally, because I have friends and family still leaving polygamy, and I personally just want to say thank you so much. I love what you're doing. And thank you all that are here. Thank you for being here and supporting us along this way.
Yes. And for all our viewers, please feel free to ask questions. We want to be able to let this awesome panel of people share their knowledge with you on so many of these tough issues, like Tanya said, of what's going on in these different polygamous groups, what it's like to come out of them. So hello, everyone that's saying hi already.
Yes, welcome.
And yeah, please ask your questions and let us know what you want to know. I know one that we've been getting a lot of talk about and people have been asking has been about the 2 teens from Idaho that just went missing. And I know, Tanya, you said you had a little bit of information that you'd be willing to share about that.
Yeah, most of it's already been made public, but a couple nights ago, the mother called and she just said, 2 hours ago, my kids went missing. What do I need to do? And so obviously my first thing was, did you contact law enforcement? She said, yes. We're waiting for them to come to the house. So she did the right stuff, took the right steps. And then I contacted a friend of mine, Paul Murphy, who is listening right now and can put up some information in the comment section for everybody. But there is a young boy, Alan Fisher, age 13, and a young girl, Rochelle Fisher, age 15, that went missing 2 nights ago. About 2 months ago, her home was broken into and personal things were taken from her home, along with the birth certificates of the 2 children. And so we knew something was going down. And then probably about 2 to 3 weeks before they disappeared, the mother said she saw one of the oldest girls lingering around in a silver Hyundai, which we now have a license plate on. And so when she turned her eye, The kids, we think, jumped in the car and were taken away by the FLDS community. And we really have no idea. So the oldest daughter lived in Trenton, Utah, but we got a really good lead from someone that they saw them about 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, the oldest girls, and then they disappeared. So we have no idea where they are currently at. And we honestly just ask for the community to be aware, eyes open. If you see a silver Hyundai and you see, girls in a prairie dress there, and the boy, I think last left in a light blue shirt and jeans, just call law enforcement and let's get them pulled over to see if we can help return these children back to their mothers. So that's about the only update.
Okay, thank
you, Tanya.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
that. We got a question. Do both groups Holding Out Help and Hope After Polygamy work together at all, or are they two separate organizations? Do you want to take this? Yeah, go ahead, Luann. You want to take this one?
We work together. We are two separate organizations that work together. We
Okay.
We have the same clients, and so it only makes sense that we work together.
And Luann, can you share a little bit more of what Hope After Polygamy, like what your main purpose and focus is?
So Hope After Polygamy, we offer educational scholarships to people that have left polygamy, and we connect them to the resources that are already in their communities to help them thrive in the outside world. And so Holding Out Help directly helps people that have left polygamy, so it makes sense that we would send people to them often.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Luann, and thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. Question. I think this is for you, Sam. Have you heard anything about your family that's still in the FLDS, and do you believe that they are safe?
Thank you for that question. And yes, I do hear from time to time from those that are still in the FLDS church, or hear about them, something that's going on. So that I do have some of these connections still, thankfully. I'm not able to go out and visit them, so I wish I knew more. But as far as them being safe at this moment, yes, I believe they are safe at this moment. I am concerned, however, of what is going to come in the next couple of years with some of the things that have been said in the revelations, so-called revelations from Warren Jeffs that he's writing in his prison cell and having sent out to his people by his son Helaman Jeffs. Some of those things are very concerning. One of them hints at mass suicide, which is very, very concerning to me, because I look back on what it was like for me when I was a part of the group, and some of the things that I would have been willing to do in the name of God or in the name of obeying the prophet, it could get scary.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, like, that's a huge reason why, I know off camera real quick, Tanya and I were talking about the fact that it's so hard when children are kidnapped by family members, right? Or taken, that it can be so scary in the outside world and they want to be inside, but then everyone who's on the outside fears for what could happen to them while they go back. And as far as like what their emotional readiness to go into the world versus being a part of that group can be something that's really difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
So it can be a lot.
Yeah. So we're just hoping, and that's something else. Thank you for bringing that up. That these people, these kids that have just gone missing from Idaho, that's something else that you have to keep in mind is, and Sam Brower, I think you could talk to this as well, but it's not as easy as if you see them, run up and grab them and say, I'm here to save you, because in their minds, oftentimes they believe that they are doing what's right, and they think that they're happy in the situation that they're in because that's what the church is asking of them.
Oh, someone just said, what do you think will happen to the people of the FLDS when Warren passes away? Sam Brower, do you know? What's your opinion on that? What do you think is going to happen next?
That's kind of up in the air. I mean, I've been waiting for that day for quite a while, because I do think that it will start getting better. I've seen over time how when one church leader steps down or dies, how things start changing. You could kind of see that in Bountiful, British Columbia, how when Warren Jeffs and Winston Blackmore separated during their rift, how things were a lot less tense there in British Columbia, and there were more people being allowed to find their own way I mean, there is still a lot of pressure, a lot of family pressure and community pressure, but it slowly started getting better. You started seeing girls wearing makeup and earrings and things getting better. You know, there's a lot of worry about Warren Jeffs dying and becoming a martyr when he dies. And, you know, I don't think that that's as much a concern as people think it is. I mean, from my point of view, him being a martyr is something that will go away as people start becoming more educated, more integrated into the real world. And that'll start drifting away. So it's kind of up in the air what will really happen. But, you know, as far as the followers go, it's going to be a really sad day for them. And it'll kind of open the door for other radical nutcases to come forward and try and take those reins, like Sam Bateman tried to do recently.
Right.
So that's, you know, some can be really dangerous. But, you know, I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see. They can't come soon enough, though. You know, when Warren Jeffs is no longer with us. So,
and I think he brings up a good point. He brings up Samuel Bateman, and if you are not in the state of Utah, you may not know who he is. And he's a self-proclaimed prophet that came from the FLDS. He was trafficking young girls, and the only way he got caught was because they were transporting young girls in white cattle trailers, which is very common in the FLDS community. And somebody saw little fingers coming out of a trailer and called it into police. Police showed up. They put him in jail for child endangerment. At that point, he was not the brightest guy and decided to tell his wife to get rid of evidence on the jail phone, which people were listening in on, which called in the FBI, raided both properties, found out that he had a sex trafficking ring and was married to 20 different wives, 50% of them under the age of 18. So that's what we're dealing with some of these radical groups. And as Sam said, who knows what next crazy person might try to step into Warren Jeffs' position. And that's what we're all worried about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't know if I put in the whole thing. I'll read this one.
It's a long comment.
It's a long comment, so I'll do that. But someone said, many people leaving polygamy come from groups with bigoted ideals. How does Holding Out help address topics such as racism and how to deal with other races in the outside world? I don't know who would be best to handle that. Maybe Tanya, and then maybe we can hear from Emily and Luanna of how they were able to adjust to the outside world. You want to start, Tanya?
Yeah, I'll start briefly because I think it's important to hear from the people that actually grew up in there. And our agency doesn't breach those topics. We meet them right where they're at. We move through resources, and it kind of happens organically. And then all of a sudden they look at me and they're like, wow, you know, that person with darker skin was just as nice as you guys are. And we're like, yeah, we know what you were taught and it's not what you think. And so we just kind of organically let that happen. It's so important we're not pushing our beliefs right onto them right when they come out, because the world itself is just more than most of them can handle. But I would love to hear from Emily or Luann on that one, or even you, Sam, probably.
Yeah. Emily, do you want to go first? What do you feel like helped as you were adjusting to the outside world? And I guess it's such a big place compared to to how so many of you were raised.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there is a lot of racism in the AUB. I think I was really fortunate because my mom raised all of her children to know that skin color doesn't matter. Whether you're the CEO or the janitor of a company, people are people, and we respect people of all color, all class, all race as people. And so she really loved on us in a way that I knew at a really early age that my dad, that his racism was an ignorance on his part. So I don't know that I am the best one to answer that, because it hasn't been something, as a current client of Holding Out Help, it hasn't been something that has been talked about or dealt with at Holding Out Help. But of my mom's 11 kids, we have a lot of nationalities in our grandkids. And, Lebanese, Japanese, there's quite a few different races. So it wasn't something that was an issue for me necessarily, but I did grow up with severe racism all the time.
That's wonderful that you had a mom that was able to teach you that and be able to do that within the institution that you were growing up in.
Yeah.
Luann, what about you? Where you grew up? What was that like coming out into the world?
Definitely, I grew up opposite of Emily. Racism was very much taught and very much a thing in the Kingston group, and I'm sure it still is. But just stepping away from the group and away from the indoctrination and having that distance from the church that I grew up in, I was able to clear my mind of a lot of things, and racism was one of them. Also, the interaction of outsiders and hearing other people's opinions that weren't racist helped. I've been out for 25 years, and so it's hard for me to know or to pinpoint when I started to change my mind about it, because when I left, I was very skeptical of everything that I was taught, and racism was one of them. Also, I wasn't very high on the totem pole in the group either, and so I just looked at the underdog, quote unquote, that I was taught to think, and just watch them and just realize that they are people too, and we're all just trying to do our best.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you so much. For any of our viewers who are just barely hopping on, thanks so much for being here with us. We're here with an awesome panel of people all supporting, holding out help in their 12 days of freedom that is just starting. We have the link in our description below if you want to donate. I also hear they're looking for really great weed pullers. Is that right, Tanya? Who else are you looking for to help if you live in the northern Utah area? What else are you looking for?
So we have 3 properties, and weeds run rampant, and then we need people that any kind of lawn care, sprinkler systems. We also are always looking for housing. So if anyone has rentals that are at a reasonable cost or free, would be super helpful. And I can't shout this one enough. We need family lawyers out of the state of Utah, Idaho, and Arizona that would be willing just to take one case on at a time. Would be amazing. So those are a few things right now off the top of my head. So.
Awesome. Roger is just one man, and he's got a lot on his plate.
And I want to shout him out. So, I mean, we refer people over, and he has done years and years and years of just pro bono work, free for our clients, just so they have options. So, Roger, a huge thank you to you, and he does great work. Go ahead, Roger.
Let me just say that I got disqualified on a case. And I need to replace myself. I need somebody to come in on a family law case that's really important, and it's 99% done. We've had the trial. We just need to sell a home and some property and divide it between my client and her ex. We really need somebody who's a family lawyer to come in and just help out. Even though I'm no longer attorney of record in the case, I can certainly help behind the scenes, and I'd love to get this client some help. She really needs it.
Yeah, that's good. Roger, while we have you talking, I know a question that we get a lot, but I wanted to ask you as well for our viewers was what people always ask, what can the state of Utah do? What can citizens be looking for to vote for, or ways to be able to help people in these polygamous groups that you're helping from a law perspective? Would you mind sharing some thoughts on that?
Well, that's a good question. I'm always interested in the state keeping a close eye on this, listening to witnesses that come forward, and victims that come forward, and prosecuting cases. Not necessarily bigamy or polygamy, That's not really the problem. The main problem is the secondary crimes that come from a high demand patriarchal order that requires women and children to do certain things that can often result in trafficking for labor or for sex purposes. And it's those secondary crimes that are too prevalent that really need to be addressed with prosecutions. And people need to come forward if they've been victimized with that and talk to law enforcement. And I think law enforcement's keyed into it a lot better than they have been in the past. And I think things are going to happen, but people should not be discouraged about contacting law enforcement, and certainly contact me and I can help you through that process.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we get a lot of people asking just what they can do in general. I
Yeah.
know, especially within the southern Utah area, what can they do if they see something that concerns them? So knowing to not be afraid to reach out to law enforcement and just say, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm hearing, what's going on. Is that an okay thing to tell people? I guess.
That's a good thing to tell people, but if you don't see something that looks troubling and you just see somebody in a different kind of lifestyle, reach out and make a friend.
Yeah.
A lot of times people just need a little bit of comfort to know that there's somebody out there who could befriend them and who they could maybe learn to trust. And that's a gradual process. So I didn't mean to present just the prosecution angle. That's certainly important. But for the people who are trying to leave and feel like they need to leave and see that it's so hard, if they have friends and people willing to help them, it can be very rewarding to see what can happen.
Yes.
Thank you, Roger. And I would say amen to that, because for one, my personal experience is based on people in the outside world being friendly and being loving towards me and being kind. That was all it took for me to realize that I could step away and be okay. So that's really, in my personal opinion, the most important, unless of course you see something that just looks way off, like something's going on here, we need to call the police right now. But if it's just, you see them around shopping, that kind of thing, just being friendly and loving towards them was the main help and support that I felt from the outside world.
Yeah, absolutely. We had from One Love 51,000. How do you donate? We have a link in our description below where you can donate to Holding Out Help. You can learn more about their 12 days of freedom. So definitely go down below, check out that link. And then another question that goes along with that, Kimberly says, what do the majority of people from these groups need? And does it differ from group to group? Tanya, what would you say?
I know you're going to look at me. And does it vary from group to group? Yes. Like when you're dealing with someone from the Kingston polygamous group per se, their biggest need is safety from their own group and people that are coming after them. It is the same for some FLDS people, not all FLDS people. So, for example, donating, one of the things we have on here, I have a little cheat sheet up here, but it goes towards emergency. $375 for the whole year covers emergency safety and stability. And you guys, that's burner phones that we can, give people so we know that they're talking on a safe line. That might be some kind of self-defense gadgets that they have. It might be security that we have at our homes. And so think about that. $375 for the whole year that covers all of our clients is pretty minimal. So yeah, it's different. And then there's others like from the FLDS that come out and they are very undereducated. If they get to the 6th or 8th grade, they're lucky. And so for them, we need to focus on getting an education. I would say the common thread between all the different groups is probably mental health care services. It's the mental bondage that is the hardest thing to break for all of these clients. So those are really great questions.
Yeah, that's awesome. We also have another one. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to say one more thing. I was on my phone because somebody just texted us and said, we are getting $1,000 reward minimum to anybody that finds the children that are currently missing. So I just want to throw that out there in case anybody, finds them. Maybe it'll help people maybe look a little bit harder. So.
Yeah,
Good to know.
definitely.
Thank
Good to
you.
know. Melanie asks, does Holding Out Help take donations like blankets, hygiene products, etc., or is it a cash only donations that you're looking for?
Another good question. So we have a closet at our center in Draper, Utah that clients know, and Emily can talk about this personally. Emily, that closet is literally, it's school supplies, it's hygiene items, it's a lot of toilet paper and paper towels, diapers for children, and they do not need to ask us. If they come in for case management meeting or maybe tutoring, or they might be seeing their counselor, they know on the way out, they can go to our closet and grab what they need. How do you feel about that, Emily? What difference does that make for you?
Well, I think most people that have heard me speak know how important that closet is to me as a single mom. Recently, I went through a divorce in 2023. And so really trying to figure out how to afford anything in today's economy has been really hard. And that closet has meant the world to me, especially with toilet paper and paper towels and just things that I didn't think about price-wise when I was married and I had a consistent income coming in. And a couple of months ago, I was running out of laundry detergent. And, I've got 2 elementary age kids. And so I was starting to feel that panic of, oh my gosh, okay, where am I going to come up with, $20 to get some laundry soap? And I went in for my weekly neurofeedback session and popped into the closet like I'll just check in there before I leave. And yeah, there was laundry soap in there that day. And I hadn't seen laundry soap in there in, the year previous. And so it was just like, oh man, this is so amazing. So yeah, the hygiene stuff it's essential, just the daily things that you don't really think about. There's been times where I literally have run out of toilet paper. And so then it's like, okay, girls, we're going to use, paper towels for a minute. And then paper towels obviously aren't essential, but cleaning supplies, laundry soap, deodorant. And then once in a while, I find fun things in there for my girls, games or puzzles or, special blankets, just things like that. And it makes a difference in my life. And I know that it's helpful to the other clients as well. It really does make a big difference.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
And Tanya, how is the best way for people to donate those type of things? Can they go online to your website to find out how, or?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that know where we're at, and they just drop them off on our front doorstep. You can also order things on Amazon. I believe we have a current Amazon wish list up. Don't quote me on that. We're getting ready for our back to school event, so we might have a bunch of school supplies getting ready to come up. And there's an address on there on our website, the 138 East 123rd South in Draper, Utah, and that's our PO box where we have most things delivered to. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, hearing about all of these awesome, resources from therapy to things in the closet, all of those different types of things, and just the things that people need when they leave these high demand polygamous groups. The theme for those who are just barely hopping on for Holding Out Help for this fundraiser is these 12 days of freedom. And I just wanted to ask, we have Luann from Kingston, we have Emily from the AUB, we have Sam from the FLDS. But Luann, would you start by sharing a little bit about what freedom means to you and what freedom has meant since leaving the group? Because I know that means something a little bit different from each of you because of your experiences within your specific group.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's a big question. I know. I'm sorry.
So freedom is, yeah. So in the Kingston group, we are told where to live, where to work. We are told jump. As soon as you wake up, you jump out of bed and start running. And the priority is to work for the Kingston group But they call it work for the kingdom of God. And also take care of your kids, have a baby every year, support yourself, support your kids. Um, and you're just taught to be a workhorse. And when we leave the Kingston group and we have all these freedoms, it's so hard to navigate because we weren't taught how to make choices. And so it's definitely a culture shock to leave such a strict group and momentum and then decide what you're going to do next. But having that freedom and being able to, I guess, dream and figure out what your heart wants, what you like to do. It can be overwhelming, but um, it's so nice to have the freedom to choose and not have somebody over you or somebody that's going to come to you and say you're doing the wrong thing, you're making the wrong choices. It just, I have to say, any hard day outside of polygamy has been better than the best days in polygamy because I know I have that freedom. And yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty heavy question.
Yeah, I think you answered it beautifully, though. I love that. I mean, it like makes my heart break a little bit when you're saying that the hardest days out are better than the worst days in, because at least what I've heard from a lot of people too is when you're in it, sometimes you don't even realize what the possibility of freedom would mean or how good it can be.
Right.
The hardest days out are better than the best days in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's very powerful. And for me, I think sometimes the idea of freedom can be scary for some of these people. For me, growing up in a group like that where I was told exactly what I was supposed to do and what to expect every day and didn't really have to make all that many decisions for myself, the idea of freedom was actually kind of scary. So that's something to keep in mind too for these people that are just coming out. I guess the pressure of having to make decisions for ourselves can be a little taunting and a little scary at times, but with the help and with the resources of a group like Holding Out Help and Hope After Polygamy, that is where we can find out how amazing freedom really is and the amazing life that we can have and we can build for ourselves, and just the power that gives us. That the lack of education, the lack of freedom really just takes away the ability for someone to fight back or to stand up against something if it doesn't feel right, because they just get so used to going along with it because that's what they're told to do. So once you get that freedom, you can really stand up for yourself and make a difference in this world.
Yeah, good job. I love that too. What about you, Emily? What does the word freedom mean to you after being able to leave?
Well, I think freedom for me is a mental freedom, because at the AUB you can come and go. And so a lot of people think you don't have to escape from the AUB. And yet there's so many things that have kept me trapped for all of my life. And it's been the last few years that I've really understood gaining that mental freedom and understanding that the police aren't bad and scary, and that the doctors aren't bad and scary, and that they're not all trying to harm my kids or take my kids away from me. My youngest daughter has a really rare autoimmune disease, and so we have a lot of doctor appointments. She's got a team of doctors. We spend a lot of time at Primary Children's. And in the last 5 years, I've had to unwind a lot of mental conditioning in regards to any type of an emergency response worker or the school, even just getting to know the therapists at the school and finally, for the first time in my life, feeling like I can be 100% honest with the school staff, with my daughter's doctors, with, something had come up a few years ago and we had to deal with CPS. And my whole life I had been taught that CPS is going to come in and take you away from your family. And so I've always been scared of CPS getting involved in anything with my kids. And that wasn't the case. They didn't take my kids. The doctors haven't tried to harm my daughter. They have all worked together with me. And I've dealt with the police on a few different things in the last couple of years. And at this point, I am still get that little ping in my stomach that this is really scary. And yet I tell myself it's okay. And I move forward and I talk openly and honestly. And the resources and the help that I have received has been amazing to me. And, the caseworker at CPS, what can we do to help you in this situation? What do you guys need? And my main go-to answer is always, I don't know. I don't know. And I think that's how a lot of kids that have come out of polygamy, we don't know. We weren't taught to know. We don't know who we are or what we need. And so sometimes I'll ask them, are there things that I should know? What would people normally ask for in this situation? And so they'll, list off things, and then I can say, yeah, that would be helpful. Or no, we have that covered. We don't need that right now. So that mental freedom has been huge for me. Huge.
Awesome.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Thank you guys. That's it's incredible to be able to hear. And it's also so wonderful to know that each of you are out and in a place where you're able to have those freedoms, no matter which way, like you said, whether it's mental freedom, physical freedom, the freedom to be able to, I love when Luann, when you said the freedom to be able to dream, like that's just super powerful. For those who are just barely tuning in, we are here with an awesome panel that is here to support Holding Out Help and their 12 days of freedom, and just talking about what freedom means to these awesome people who have left their groups. We also have Sam Brower, who's an investigator, Roger Houle, an attorney who helps people who leave, and obviously the one and only Tanya Toole, who the founder of Holding Out Help herself. Tanya, for those, we've had more people join since the beginning. Would you just say once again a little bit about what the 12 days of freedom, what we're doing, what the 12 days of freedom is going to entail, and what that looks like?
Yeah, the 12 days of freedom are pretty simple. We're just trying to bring awareness to what is happening in our backyard and to get resources in order to help the people that are stepping foot through our doors. So for an example, in 2020, when Utah decided to decriminalize polygamy and bring it down to an infraction, we had 160 people. It steadily has risen since then, and last year we served over 400 people, and we don't have necessarily additional money to bring on additional staff at this point. And so it's just kind of filling the gaps so that we do not need to say no to someone, because saying no to somebody that reaches out to you in their time of need could literally be the difference between life and death. And so we don't turn people away. If we're completely strapped, we try to find other resources out on the streets with partners like Hope After Polygamy, with people like Roger, who offers attorneys, offers his services, and has given us referrals to other people as well. And so you're just going to hear stories throughout the next 12 days from clients. You're going to hear of our different partnerships. You are going to hear about our needs. And we hope the community sees it's a worthy cause to get involved. I want to say one other thing. There is Hope After Polygamy on here. So if you're like, we're not super impressed with Tanya, we would rather give to Hope After Polygamy for educational scholarships, or give towards legal services, with Roger Houle, whatever that looks like. If you want to donate to Growing Up in Polygamy, we all are here as a team doing the same thing, and that is bringing awareness to this cause. So you can't go wrong. So thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks, Tanya. And if you do want to donate to Holding Out Help during these 12 days, we do have the link in our description below. I definitely need to hop in there and also add Hope After Polygamy's link as well. So I'll go in and toss in a couple more links when we get done here today. So yeah, thank you so much for that and for sharing that with everyone. Someone said, I have a question right here.
Oh, it does fit. Good.
Oh, it does fit. Okay. Coming from polygamy, I've always known polygamy to be illegal. Why is the state so lenient on this issue? And how would you say this has changed over time? Roger, would you like to? That's a Roger question.
So that's a difficult question. The state of Utah has at times been pretty diligent in trying to stop polygamy. But since 1953, when there was a bad experience trying to stop it, they did not, they haven't really done anything with 2 or 3 exceptions to date. They did prosecute Warren Jeffs, and they prosecuted a couple of other people. They decertified a justice of the court, a justice of the peace, I should say. They've decertified some police officers. But polygamy itself, unless there are additional crimes going along with it, it's typically not prosecuted. And I don't see that it will be prosecuted in the future. The focus really needs to be on those crimes that seem to have a home within polygamous groups. And it's those secondary crimes that affect children that need to be addressed. Why doesn't Utah do more? It's a difficult topic in Utah. And I think more is happening. I think as time goes on, there will be more prosecutions, more legislation, more awareness. We're working on all of those fronts right now. But one thing you need to know is you just can't take children from moms. That's not the solution. There are ways that it could be stopped going forward, but you can't separate families. And that's the dilemma. But there are things that can be done, and that's being looked at right now. And whenever somebody comes forward, those crimes ought to be prosecuted.
Yeah. Sometimes you hear a lot of times people saying that, crimes, you can't judge an entire community by the fact that there are people that do bad things, right, within every community. But I think something that's important to kind of point out in a lot of these polygamous groups is that those secondary crimes aren't isolated incidences, unfortunately. And it's something that you see commonly throughout a community. Luann, I know especially sometimes we hear a lot that the Kingstons are dealing with legal issues, or we'll hear, that the state versus the Kingstons in one thing or another. Would you mind sharing maybe some of those secondary crimes that you saw that were common within the group, that it wasn't just, there's just this one guy down the street that is a bad apple out of them, but something that organizationally they I guess, I don't know, I lost my word.
Almost required,
or
taught within the group.
Taught within the group.
Teach it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So growing up in polygamy, I did not know the word incest or statutory rape. It all fell under the realm of polygamy for me. And it's taught to keep the bloodline pure. And so incest is huge within the Kingston group. My mom married her uncle. I was married when I was 15 to my first cousin, who was also my nephew. His parents were first cousins. He is my cousin because our moms are sisters, and he is my nephew because his dad is my half brother. And it just gets so messy from there. Allegedly, they have a lab so that they can take blood work and decide who should be married to who to avoid, what is the word? The birth defects. Yeah. So because incest is so huge, because keeping the bloodline pure is such a big deal within that group. So that's definitely taught. and polygamy is taught, but underage marriages are so common and so, I want to say that's taught too, because when I was growing up, I was 15 and everybody around me was getting married, and they were 14, 13, and I felt like I was getting old. And I saw that my time was coming. I wasn't surprised that I was getting married at 15. I have been to a 12-year-old's wedding. It's, underage marriages are also taught. And so it's definitely not isolated in the Kingston group.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Luann, no matter how many times I hear your story and talk to you and have these opportunities, it never ceases to shock me. Like every single time my jaw drops, no matter how many times you hear of the same things in these different groups, whether it's underage, every time you hear of seeing a 12-year-old be married, it still gives that same like shock, like makes my insides be like, what? I can't. And the fact that it's not even just isolated to your group. Right. Either, that it's something that happens within other polygamous groups is heartbreaking.
And kind of what I've seen, and I wonder if you've seen something similar as well, but coming from the FLDS and knowing a lot about the Kingstons, one of the big common things I see within these polygamous groups, and I know that there are other offshoots and small groups here and there that don't have any really much religious ties to their reason for practicing polygamy, but the ones that are saying polygamy is what we should do because God says so, generally also have all of the control over the lives specifically of the women and children. And so they completely control every aspect of their life. And that's what I see very common throughout all of these groups, is just taking away that freedom from the women and children. And the women just have to say okay and obey, because that's what the man, their ruler and leader, is telling them to do. And the leader of the church is always a man as well, that's calling the shots and telling everyone exactly how to live their lives. Is that something you saw as well, Emily, or is that more Kingston and FLDS?
That absolutely pertains to the AUB as well. The women and children are, in my opinion, a form of currency. And whether they have 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls getting married, they are teaching you from the time you're little. I mean, your whole life, you're taught about being a wife, being a mother, being a sister wife. And there are lots of instances of girls getting married at those young ages. I got married right after my 17th birthday. And the man I married was 6 years older than I am. And now in the state of Utah, that's illegal. I believe that you can't, if you get married at 16 or 17, you cannot marry someone that's 4 years or older. And Roger can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But why does a 16 or 17-year-old girl need to get married? And one of the things that I struggle with is this, consenting adults live and let live. And yet we were raised from birth that these are the true and correct principles. And I wasn't taught about getting an education. I wasn't taught about consent or choice, or really given the opportunity to figure out who I am and what I want. And now I'm getting to figure that out at 43. And it would have been great to figure that out as a teenage girl. So it does happen in the AUB, and the AUB has really liked to skirt around these issues by pretending that they are the good polygamists. And so that's kind of the way that we were raised. We don't do these things like the Kingstons do. We don't have underage marriages like the FLDS. And that's BS. There's plenty of cases of it happening in the AUB. So,
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Roger, can you speak a little bit on what she was mentioning, what Emily was talking about with the new marriage laws with that 4-year gap? Because that's pretty recent, isn't it? And do you think it was targeting at these underage polygamous marriages?
It was passed this last year, and some people came and spoke and talked about their experiences in polygamy groups. But Emily said something interesting. She asked a question: why do they need to marry minors? Well, the answer is they will lose those girls if they allow those girls to get old enough to have the experience and maturity they need to make wise decisions. In order to keep these groups growing, I've come to the opinion that you need to marry the girls young, impregnate them, and have them deliver children so they get locked in. And those children become workers for the group. And that's a cycle that keeps on repeating, and it's exponential, and it needs to stop.
So, Roger, why, if the state of Utah was going to change a law like this, right, and just within the last year, they're going to change in 2024 and say we're going to make a 4-year gap, why not just make the age 18? Is the state of Utah trying to keep face with these polygamous groups, or why not just raise it all the way up?
Well, I don't think the state of Utah is trying to make nice with polygamous groups. There are times when marriages younger than 18 are appropriate. I think there are few, and the problem is normally parental consent is good consent, but often in these polygamous groups, the parents have the same mental bondage that the children have, and so they'll do whatever the leaders say. That's not really the kind of parental consent that is contemplated by the statute, but the mental bondage is how those groups, in my opinion, are able to get parental consent.
I see.
And so there needs to be something done, and I think it's probably going to be not going after everybody, but when somebody comes out of a group and is willing to testify and has been abused, law enforcement should jump on that and stop it. They should prosecute those cases vigorously, and that doesn't mean everybody that's involved in one of these unlawful marriages involving incest or underage girls or bigamy is going to get prosecuted. But when somebody comes forward, it's time to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's tough. It is a tough line. And I know that we've had people reach out to us about this same law and say, wait, why didn't they just do 18? And we didn't have an answer. We're like, well, that actually sounds good to us, 18, but I know there are certain situations where, maybe if everyone is it's a tough one for me, honestly. I don't know. I can't think of a really good instance where someone couldn't have waited until they were 18, but maybe I'm missing something.
What you see is that some people in these groups are just very adept at taking advantage of the laws and finding ways to make it benefit them and what they want, and really exploit the laws where they can. And then where they can't exploit the laws, often they just hold the law in contempt and don't follow. Not always. You can't judge everybody, but you do see patterns, and you can draw your own conclusions.
Right.
That's why we're all involved, is we've seen the patterns and drawn those conclusions.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of someone who has seen the patterns for a long time, we just got a comment for Sam Brower. Hearing more about Sam Brower and your story, can you share with us a little bit, Sam, on how you got involved in investigating these polygamous groups and kind of what you've seen over your years of investigation? Oh,
That might
did
take
you just
time.
freeze?
Am I still
We
there?
tried. There he
Oh,
is.
there you
There he is.
I'm blipping on and off. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's been decades ago. There's been water in the bridge.
Oh, you're kind of cutting out. Let me see if going back this way.
Dang it.
Oh, you want to
Try
try
to
one more
talk.
time, Sam?
Yeah. No, he's going out.
He's frozen.
Oh no,
We'll have
he's
to have him
frozen.
on for an interview and to
Maybe we'll
talk
get-
more about his story at some point. Maybe.
He's
I'm
asking-
not
he's
sure with my connection. I'm not sure, but
Oh,
I can
Yeah.
tell you that Sam doesn't get paid for this. He's been involved for about 21 years. He just wanted to see what was going on and got very interested and wanted to find Warren Jeffs and put an end to some of the craziness that was going on. That's a summary, Sam. You can correct me if I got it wrong.
that's a good summary.
He's
oh,
never.
there we go.
Yes, he's always been outside of that and worked as a private investigator.
Yeah.
Awesome. Someone had asked Sam
mean,
too. You look like you're back with us a little bit better, asking if
Yeah.
you had only looked into the FLDS or if you look into all the different groups.
I've had to look into different groups, but I'd say the majority has been FLDS. When I started off, that's who they're close by where I live, city, and so it was more convenient to be involved there and learn about it there. But and it was I guess I couldn't believe that the things were happening there. Their ability to skirt the law, especially as far as children and women were concerned. And all the things, all my education, all the things I'd learned about how the law works, how the China. My beginning interest was because I just couldn't believe something like that could be going on here in America. I was blown away.
Right.
And their disdain for the law and willingness to just break it at will, just ignore what's going on with it. And I thought that the world needs to know about it more, and it just kept kind of growing from there. And since that time, since the beginning, when I first started on it, it's just kind of mushroomed and grown, and it's been one of those kinds of things. I find it difficult now to just walk away because it seems like the never-ending story. There's just so many people that help out that need to oppressive culture.
Oh,
I think
we're losing
we lost
you
you there,
again.
Sam, but thank you.
Okay.
We have a lot of people very interested in your story. So if you're willing, maybe at some point we'd love to have you on. We can interview you here and share more about that.
But we appreciate all the work that
Sure.
you've done because we know that you've been such an integral part of everything. Like you said, clear back from starting to try to find Warren Jeffs. So much good work that you've done and sharing awareness and writing your book and everything. So we'll definitely we'll get together another time for sure.
Yes. What is the name of your book?
Prophets Pray.
Prophets Pray.
Yes. Okay. Just for anyone that's looking and wondering about that, Prophets Pray.
Yep. See, we're having people request an interview with you where we can get more info on that. For those of you who have just tuned in, we're here with an awesome panel, all supporting Holding Out Help with their 12 Days of Freedom. We have a link in the description if you want to donate to them, also where you can go and find out more information of the many ways that you can help them, whether we're looking for attorneys, family law attorneys to help Roger out in helping to represent these clients of holding out help, or whether or not you're a really good weed puller, or can help give donations to fill the amazing closet that I didn't know about till today.
Me neither.
So
Thank you
I'm
for
like,
sharing that.
yeah. So Amazon wish list and all that good stuff. Oh my gosh, guys, we're already at an hour.
Time
We said we're gonna keep
flies.
it at an hour. I guess the last question that we should probably ask, and it's something that we just asked to everybody on our channel. So here you guys are. So here you get this question. But it would be, we'll kind of go around to each of you. If you could say one thing to someone who is in a polygamous group and they would be willing to listen to you, what would you say to them? Let's go ahead and start. Emily, would you mind starting us off with that?
Sure. So I would say that the big scary world is not as scary as we were raised to believe. And people are really good. There are a lot of really, really good people that have helped me, helped my kids, and they don't hold it against me that I grew up in a polygamous family. And so I think that, you know, if you can push past that fear and that scary, there is so much hope and there's so much freedom and there's so much life and joy outside of the group that you were raised in. And it's not scary and dangerous in the ways that we were taught and trained to believe.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Sam, it looks like I actually have good connection with you right now. So I say, what would be yours? Oh, nope. It just looked like it. We can just see your face.
You look great, Sam.
You look great, Sam.
Keep it up. That's a great pose.
We'll get yours at the end of the future interview. Roger, what about you?
Okay.
What's something you would say to someone?
I would just say, you know, if you are considering leaving, there's help out there. These organizations are ready. There's lots of good people. They know what they're doing. They understand your situation, and there's help out there.
Yes. Thank you so much. Luann?
So I have to back up what Roger said. There's a whole world out there that isn't scary. And so many of us are waiting to support you in starting a new life.
Yeah, love it. I'll go with you, babe, before we'll end on Tanya.
I just love what we're seeing here. If you're growing up in polygamy and you find that it is a challenging world that you're living in and you want to get out, there is hope after polygamy. And there are a lot of people holding out help, willing to help you. And we see it all over the place. People reaching out to us. How do we help? How do we help? And we often say, well, there's these great organizations, but aside from donating and helping there, just be kind and loving. And that, I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again. People being kind and loving to me is what really helped me take that step.
Yeah. Good job, babe. And Tanya, we'll end with you. What do you have to say? I know you have, this awesome organization that you started, and Tanya's story is amazing. I believe we have an interview with you where if you want to go watch that and hear a little bit more of how she got into starting Holding Out Help. Yes. But with all the many people and the lives that you touch on the daily, what would be your word of advice?
Yeah, I can't say better than Sam said just now, but I would just say that if you're happy in polygamy, fine, you're happy in polygamy. But if you do have a desire, something's happening to you, you don't feel like something is right, there are people out here who genuinely care about you and what happens to you. We want you to know that there's places you can go, that you are going to be known, and that you are going to be supported. And I want to end by obviously thanking Sam and Melissa. I cannot tell you how much I adore you guys, and I'm so glad that you are in our lives and support us so much. But I want to challenge Utah a little bit as well. The majority of people are living in these closed insular communities. Something your audience may not know, there is approximately 60,000 polygamists living in the Western United States, Canada, and Mexico, with the majority right here and around Utah. and they're starting to spread out through the United States. And I would say that if secondary crimes are not your top priority in these groups, then I challenge these leaders of these polygamous groups to come forward. Let's meet. Let's talk to law enforcement. Let's figure out not to have these crimes happening within your communities any longer. And if we can't do that, then this should go away, because I'm so exhausted hearing from children and women and even men who are being hurt in the name of God. And so I'm just throwing that out there, that if that's not your sole purpose, then help us fix the problems. That's all I'm asking. And so, by the way, I want to mention, you see this really pretty basket back here? There's a $550 value. So the last, I think the day after it ends, July 5th, we are doing a giveaway. So if you donate in any of this 12-day period, you are put in the drawing for this amazing basket. And I just want to shout that out. Sam and Melissa, thank you. Thank you to Luann and Emily and Roger and even Sam, who's not on here. You guys, seriously, we couldn't do this without some voices, and we're just so appreciative of all of you. So thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here, again, for answering so many great questions. Thank you to all of our viewers who are able to hop on, and for the many more that we know will be watching this in the playback after. We should have that up here in the next couple hours. Definitely people will be able to see more of this and hopefully reach out and support. Again, we have the link in the description to be able to go and donate to Holding Out Help. And thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you all so much. And for all of you
guys
watching, we love you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And to all watching, we'll talk to y'all soon.
Talk to you soon.